I'm gonna make my bomb ass meat.
All hell, rap motherfuckers get back, snort rails. Kick back with a six-pack, yeah, he gon' do what he want, leaving others impaled. A podcast levels far beyond that. This ain't no bullshit, it's marsh pits and all that. Real talk with a still got tasted. Rat still spill cheers on your faces. Gone ape shit, blaze it and take it in. Rat talks with crack rocks and gin. Metalheads unite with a grin. Goddamn master man, that's real shit now. So open up your mind to smoke a bowl. A bunch of potheads getting stoned, you know how it go. It's the new show on the block. 100% uncut rock top.
And here we go again with another episode of Rat Talk. I am your host, Matt the Rat, and with me today is Patrick Riley.
What up?
Oh, and then we also have another person in here, the good old Ryan D. Welcome back.
I was like, fuck, he's not going to introduce me at all? I'm just going to have to start talking.
Yeah, everyone listening, who's that third guy that's there?
I'll be like your Glenn. You remember Glenn from Tom Green Show? Just that guy that hung out in the background and to just talk every once in a while.
Yeah, every once in a while.
Every once in a while. Or he'll laugh behind Tom.
Some fucking dude kicking it.
But welcome
yeah.
to the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
This is exciting.
This is dope. We got Coors Banquet here, so we're living it up.
Yeah, and we also had, I had Torpedo IPA.
Torpedo IPA.
Stone Cold Steve Austin's favorite beer.
Is it? Is that Stone Cold?
It was.
Until he made his own.
Until he made his own.
Yeah. But no, yeah, that's how he said it on his
Every time.
Torpedo IPA.
On his
My
podcast.
favorite beer.
Sierra Nevada. Torpedo IPA.
Dude, Stone Cold is the shit, dude.
Dude, he is the shit, man.
The dopest.
Yeah.
The dopest.
So you're a comedian, Pat. You do.
I try to be.
Yeah,
I try to be. I try to be funny. Most of the time, I'm not, but sometimes I hit a little.
It works out.
I hit
It
a wave.
has, yeah.
I catch a wave every once in a while, you know?
Tell me about those early days then when you first started doing open mics. Where would you do open mics,
We
first
still
of
do
all?
open mics.
We still do them. I mean, that's the thing is like I'm still in the early days phase, you know, but definitely not as early as it was before. We do open mics fucking all over the place, you know, Pasadena, Monrovia, LA, bars, coffee shops.
Where was your first?
The first one was at Jake's in Old Town. It was this bar that's not even there anymore. It was like a
Wait, it's not there anymore?
No, they closed Jake's down.
Whoa.
It was like a burger joint / bar.
I think you've been there before.
Is that
it's the billiards place in downstairs.
Yeah.
We have billiards downstairs. It's
No,
the pool hall
actually,
downstairs, and upstairs it's like
the
a
only
burger
Jake's
joint.
I've been to has bomb ass chili.
In Pasadena.
Yeah.
I think
It was
it's
like
the
a
same
little
place.
stand.
I think it's it's the same place.
It was red and like it had
It's the
like
same
a really
place.
look on top.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then there
but-
was a downstairs.
but they have a
area.
downstairs.
did?
They have a
Oh.
billiards place downstairs.
I've never seen Jake's downstairs.
Yeah.
It was like a bar. Well, you never will. It's gone now. It was a bar billiard spot, and they had an open mic on Mondays. And I went with a buddy of mine, and I was just going to check it out. Like I was like, I just wanted to see what was going on because I was thinking about trying stand up. And I was with my buddy, and he's like, dude, I'm going to sign up. And if I sign up, then you have to sign up, you know? Because he's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck am I? I'm not trying to do this at all.
He's one of those
Right.
buddies.
So he signed us both up, and then it was a lottery. I got picked to go up like 10th or whatever. There's like 4 people in the crowd. It was a terrible fucking open mic. And
That open mic sucked.
It's so bad. But I had like a minute of like talking about masturbating in front of a bunny. I thought that was really
Yes.
funny. And I was like stuttering and shit. It was terrible. And the whole time I just got one homeless dude in the corner that went, ha ha! And that
I
was
love those homeless people.
That-
That's
Yeah.
like the.
So how long ago was that then? How
that was
long?
almost 3 years ago. That was
okay.
like
So you've
almost
been
3
doing
years.
comedy then for 3
For
years.
3 years, yeah. And I was complete trash that first time, and but I felt good. That
Hey,
was the
you
weird
got
thing.
one laugh, all right? That got
that guy was like, ha ha! That was actually the first place I saw Pat do stand up.
Yeah, and he saw
Was
me.
at that open mic.
Really?
And I was like, this guy sucks.
Yeah, I was talking some
and
stupid shit.
then I
Wait,
saw.
so you started at the same time?
We started at the same time. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
He was only
okay.
a little further along,
Couple
than,
months.
like maybe a couple months.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, you saw me. I remember seeing you in the crowd. I remember specifically seeing, like, you were wearing like a buttoned-up shirt and you're just.
Probably, I used to go like straight from work, so I would always wear like work clothes.
You were looking at me really upset, and I was bombing so hard, doing some. I remember what I was talking about. I was talking about like the identity crisis between. I thought it would
like
be
a
funny.
boob man and a butt man or something like that. And I
Yeah.
was like, this douchebag.
Yeah, it was dumb as fuck.
This guy talking about boobs and butts.
I'm like, you're everything. You're like every guy is a boob and butt man. Like, it makes no sense. But yeah, but then like a week later, we had a show together, and I saw Patrick, and I was like, isn't that the guy? I was like, that's the guy I saw at fucking Jake's, and he actually did pretty good that night. And I was like, oh hey, he's actually funny.
At Inside Jokes with Big Mike and Mike Alberici. Big Mike and Little Mike.
Big Mike and
Big
Little
Mike.
Big Black Mike and Little White Mike.
Little white Mike.
Which was the worst setup, by the way. It was a fucking theater. It was like just a
It's a
theater.
movie theater, and if you didn't have. If you didn't have it filled up, it felt like it wasn't filled up. It was just
really?
like,
Yeah.
it's the worst.
I think I remember that.
Did you go to any of
I
those?
don't think I went, but I remember
It was
you
like-
talking about it.
it's
Like it was your first big
Yeah,
show,
it was my
quote
first-
unquote.
It was my first
big
real show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was the same night my mom dropped some
N-bomb?
N-bombs.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard
Which was
this
good.
story.
Yeah. Which was good. Always
Terrible.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Classic.
think that was the
Classic
same night.
racism. Yeah, that was the same night, dude. My mom before me, I think it was Steve Hofstetter was up there. Yeah, it was Steve Hofstetter, who was like known. He has like clips on YouTube for like shitting on hecklers. He's like really, that's
Yeah.
like
He's
what
like
known
on
for.
viral and stuff. He's actually pretty. He's actually one of the first guys to start that whole Fox TV show, the Laughs TV show.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
and she
Goddamn.
Michael Vick, and then my mom just had a couple beers and thought it was appropriate to be like,
Oh, is that what he was talking about, Michael
It
Vick?
was just but it wasn't about Michael Vick being black. It was just about Michael Vick abusing animals.
right.
And
Yeah.
my mom was like, ha ha ha, boom, and
she
dropped
just dropped
it.
the N-bomb.
And I was
Well,
in the
she was
back.
like, he's a baba.
yeah,
And then
and he said what? And she
and then
repeated,
she repeated
it.
Yeah.
What?
And there was black people in the crowd, and I'm just sitting in the back. Like, I remember I was sitting next to Mike Alberici, and he was like, oh my God. And I was just thinking, like, fuck, I don't want anyone to know that she's my mom.
No, and
And
we didn't know for years, probably for like
For a while.
year.
And
For
then
like
I-
a year, yeah, for like a year we didn't know.
And I
Oh,
finally
man.
told you, right?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
hey, you remember that night?
And then I had to go around telling everybody, you remember that night? that was Pat's mom.
It took a while for me to own that one.
Oh man, but good. I mean, good for you for owning it now.
They made that story that much better. Than
Yeah.
it was
that-
And you knew exactly what I was talking about. I was
I
like, remember that night with the N-bombs? You're like, yeah. And I was like, fuck, I was hoping you didn't remember it that vividly. I was like, well, that was my mom. You're
He's like, no, yeah. Like the color of the studio was, or the color of the theater was purple. They had some nice,
curtains.
nice hors d'oeuvres.
I came and did a podcast and talked about how funny that story was.
Yeah, it was
Um,
fucking brutal.
But I mean, doing those open mics and everything. What was your first connection? Well, as far as like real shows go, like how did you? Because you went through Mike too, right?
Yeah,
Alberici?
I think we all like Mike is like the connecting piece, like in this Pulp Fiction movie, like Mike is like the recurring
true.
character in everybody's story. But because he was like the bringer guy, he was like
Yeah.
the dude, the sleazy fucking, hey, bring 5 people and
Right.
I'll put you on the show.
Well, I explained to you what bringer shows were and everything.
Yeah,
right, on
yeah.
the
You
last
got to
time
bring
when you
a
had me
certain
on.
amount, yeah.
Well, yeah, but Mike was he was like an insurance salesman, so he would prey
Yeah.
he would prey on fresh new comics who hadn't brought their friends or family to any of their comedy shows yet.
yeah.
And that's how we ended up becoming friends. But I mean, originally he was just taking advantage of all of us.
Of all of us,
Yeah.
yeah. Of all of us. And then, but he actually turned out to be a good guy. Like he had
Yeah.
that was the thing.
Yeah, he's a real funny guy. I mean,
And
he performed for Mom's benefit show.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Mike is like Mike's funny because he's like a sweet dude, but he like, I don't, he's so sensitive and like so easily irritated like that.
Right.
It's just, you can't not fuck with that dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Really?
even if I
so
actively
easy to
try
fuck
not
with,
to
yeah.
fuck with him, I'll be like, all right, I'm just going to talk to Mike normally and not fuck with him. I'll end up fucking, I can't help like, you just can't help it. Like, Mike is the easiest guy to fuck with. But I met that dude. I did an open mic, and then he was like, "Hey, you want to do the show?" He gave me that sleazy pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had only been doing comedy for a month, and I was like, "Holy shit! Like, I'm gonna do a real show." Like, I like completely fell into it,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Yeah, definitely Comedy Store in the belly room." Like, I was like, "Comedy Store, holy shit!" You know,
Yeah.
I'm tripping.
But don't you think, like, because it's kind of how I feel, like, if he hadn't come up to me, I probably wouldn't have gotten into it so fast and said so much if, as much as I did.
Yeah.
If he didn't come up to me and do the same thing.
No,
for me,
definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. I owe Mike a lot, actually, because,
Right.
like, it was that kind of shock. It was a shock, like, holy shit, I'm just jumping into this, that, like,
Right.
kept you going.
Right.
And then afterwards, he pulled me aside, and he, like, was like, hey, man, like, just quit school and just stick to this. Like, he was really going
I thought
for
he was
it.
going to say quit comedy. Yo, man, I made a big mistake. You should quit.
You should quit, motherfucker. And yeah, ever since then, man, I kind of, he's right. Like, Mike is kind of one of the reasons that, like, I still do. I got into it as hard as I did. So,
And like, so Mike was that first stepping. So what are some of the other shows that you've been doing? Because I know I've seen your face on flyers, you know, floating
Yeah.
around on Facebook and everything. How did you get from basically only being Mike's guy to other
From, like,
things?
bringers to other things?
Bringers to other things, pretty much.
Mostly all your friends doing other shows.
exactly. Yeah. It's just, I mean, the thing is like getting hooked up with your friends' shows, basically. I mean, has been the thing. I mean, Ryan's always, like, hustling as a producer. So, like, you've always hooked me up, which has been fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And Jose hooked me up a lot. But then sometimes you will get hooked up on shows, like at open mics. Like, if someone likes you at an open mic, or if or someone sees you at a show and they liked what you did, they'll like offer you a show. It's basically just being around. Like, I've noticed, like, sometimes I'll just be around certain places a lot.
Such a slut.
So, like, I go to yeah, I'm fucking slutting it up. But I'll go to Wang's a lot, like this open mic in Monrovia that I like.
It's a good spot for open mic, but it's on Tuesday nights.
Nights.
And that's when I record. So I'm
Yeah.
never there.
But, like, I've been doing that one a lot, and they do shows there on Saturdays every once in a while. And, like, just like yesterday, the guy was like, hey, you want to do the show? Because I've just been there, you know, and he's seen me. So, I mean, it's just, like, being there, and, I mean, you got to be funny, too. I mean, you got to at least somewhat funny, you know, for them to be like, yo, I'm going to put you on a show.
You did the show this last Saturday?
No, I'm going to do a show
you're gonna do it.
in July. Yeah, he just told me yesterday.
Oh, cool.
July what?
23rd. July 23rd, Saturday, 8 p.m.
Maybe we'll go and heckle you.
You should.
I think Daniel's show is that day.
Oh, I think so. No,
Yeah.
is it? I don't know. I look it up. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
But anyway, you so just basically getting around, putting your face out there, making connections and everything.
Just making friends, man. Making friends and yeah, keep doing the open mics and fucking you can hit people up. I mean, Ryan's really good at hitting people up all the time. Like he's really good about like that aspect of it, which I'm pretty lazy with. But Ryan fucking is super on top of that, hitting people up on Facebook and stuff. I mean, you can hustle that way, or people see you. It's kind of it's weird. Like, I mean, even being
kind
here,
of a little bit of both though, because like I'll hit somebody up and they just won't reply to me.
Sometimes,
but then if I have seen them, and then I remind them of that time that we crossed paths, then they reply. You know, then they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember you."
Right.
But you know, sometimes I'll send a message to somebody who's like
so
producing.
it's also kind of like more precautionary too. Like, I don't want to associate with this guy if I haven't met him, or if he's like just some random dude who's gonna.
I guess, yeah. Well, like sometimes I'll send a message to somebody who's producing a show, right? And I'll hit them up for like, oh, I want to be on. Is it cool if I get on your show? Blah blah. Send them a link, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they won't respond, and then I'll run into them or do a show with them eventually, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, you should hit me up for your show." I'm like, "I did, fuckface."
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. It's like you make that connection with them finally, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I know who this guy is." You know what I mean? At first, you're just some dude,
Right.
You know, so. But yeah, man, and like I said, it's weird because even being here, like I met Ryan like through that one show where my mom dropped an N-bomb, and like now we're like really cool. You know what I mean? We're friends and shit. Like, and it's just crazy. Like a lot of things have happened. Like even with Jose too, another like really close friend of ours. Like met him at a show in Flappers randomly as fuck, and then like ended up going to Bakersfield with them, and like now we're super close friends. It's just weird, like looking back at like how the connections have just kind of
brought you all together.
And gotten stronger, and like it just randomly it's just running into each other and be like, yeah, what's up? Like you're cool, fuck it, and then just now we're like.
I mean,
doing
if you
shows
think
and
about
shit.
it, like this is kind of like your generation of comedians. You know, like you have all those old school, or you know, not old school, but also these newer comics like you know, Joe Rogan and all of them. Like they know all of each other. Like
Thank
they know
you.
everybody.
That's what I've been saying for like this last year too. I'm like, because I feel it, you know, because then it's one of those things. Like there's those nights when our friends are like in the roast battle at the Comedy Store, and we show up, and like that night the store is ours for the taking, you know, like we fucking know everybody there, you know, and but other than that, you know, if you ever go in there another time, it's those guys, you know, it's all the big heads who are there,
dudes,
who've been big fucking national headliners who've been there for years, you know. It's always the same dudes. That's why the Comedy Store is so hard to get a spot on, because all they keep bringing in like the people who have like Showtime specials and Netflix specials and
The
shit,
best
it's
of
like,
the best.
Yeah, the best of the best. And
Yeah.
so like you're guaranteed a good show there, which is understandable, but it kind of it gets really irritating to make me want like I don't really want to hang out there because of that.
It's
you know?
hard for like an up and comer right now, for sure. But it's possible. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they like if they got fucking Joe Rogan, like
Right.
Chris Rock, like the best dudes around, then of course no one else is gonna get any time there.
But back to that point, though, it is like it does feel like that sometimes. Like when we're
yeah.
all on a show together, or we're all just hanging out at the same place, it's like, oh, this is like we're the next wave, you know? Like,
yeah, well, it's the beginning for sure. I mean, it's because as long as we stick with it and we fucking keep going with it, I mean, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, because there's talent is there. You know what I mean? Like there's
And it's definitely you can see it too, just as what's the word I'm looking for? Starts person that's watching the show.
a bystander.
Yeah, you know, looking, you know, being on the outside looking in, you can totally tell that you group of guys, you guys have it. Like that first Thursday Night Riot show that you put together was phenomenal. That's probably my favorite show that I've ever even been to, and is because you had Mike on there, you were on there, Pat. And
Jose was on that one too, wasn't
I think
he?
Jose-
I think he was on the second one that I did.
No, I don't think Jose, but
Kevin
and
Jay, Big J.
and
Who
one
else was
more.
on that show?
Alexis was on it. I
Oh,
think.
Alexis and Tony.
Oh, Tony was on
Yeah,
that one.
Tony was on that
Tony,
one too.
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah,
Like that show was fucking awesome. Like that was probably one of my most favorite shows ever going to.
yeah, that was a good show.
That was good.
That was
good.
the
That was a
Ice House
good.
is always dope.
That
as
was a
fuck.
good, solid show, man. I like. That's why it was so hard for me to top that. Like the second time, the second time was like, meh, like wasn't nearly as good, and the crowd wasn't nearly as good either.
Yeah.
But then they gave me a third time, and that one just was a flop.
It's hard to consistently bring people out.
It's
You know what I
fucking
mean?
horrible.
It's hard to consistently bring people out if you don't have a big name, you know?
Right,
Because it's
right.
like, why do people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, but like sometimes you get the overflow from the sold out show.
Yeah.
Next door in the main room.
Or you'll get random, like at open mics sometimes, there'll be like people that just came out for
Well,
the,
that night,
like,
dude, that night we had a lot of people who just I don't know what it was, because we had a lot of people come out, like your friends and family, mine,
Yeah.
But I feel like at least 30% of the crowd was just people, just
That were
people
just
like,
there.
that
Wanted
just
to come
wanted
to
to
the
just
show.
bought tickets,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just because I even met them after the show, and it was like dudes from the college were there.
oh, really?
They're like, oh yeah, we just thought it was college night, so. He's like, I'd been to one of these shows on a Wednesday, and Wednesday night I thought was college night or something, so I just wanted to check it out.
Then they just came.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
they were like, but this was awesome, and blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
We'd love to come back. So
It's crazy too, like the different like walks of life that you run into with like comedians. Like for example, like Ryan, you know what I mean, metal dude, fucking into that, and then like Kevin is a scientist, like a
Oh,
legit
yeah.
rocket scientist.
fucking
like-
alcoholic scientist.
Yeah. Badass.
Like how do these it's just crazy. Like you
Goals,
would never
dude.
think these people fucking come together. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
and then what? Jose is just some ghetto
some
dude from
fucking
Watts.
dude from Watts, yeah. Some dude, a chef
You
from
got the
Watts.
best of all worlds,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And then
And
Mike is
Mike
just
is
sleazy.
just some douche from Philly.
Some sleazy douchebag from Philly.
And where's Big J from Philly too, or no? He's
from Boston,
Boston?
but lived in Seattle for a long time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's where his Irish pride and fucking love of the Celtics and shit comes from.
Yeah.
But
Boston,
but he lived in
Seattle.
a lot. So which was funny, like because of that whole Super Bowl thing. Because all of his friends, so he went to Seattle to watch the Super Bowl, and that was when it was the Seahawks and the Patriots.
Mhm.
So he's a big Patriots fan, and he was telling me all about that, how he had to spend like a week. Yeah, he was doing shows for a week in Seattle during the Super Bowl, so he
Oh,
watched
really?
it. He watched it there and watched them all fail.
That's funny.
Nice. So back to you, Pat.
Okay.
What
up?
Doing those shows and everything, like first starting out, what would be some advice that you would give, to a newcomer who's barely getting into the scene and basically
Getting into it?
Yeah, like what would your best advice for that person be if you had to tell if you had like a young protege?
Right. Well, I mean, dude, it's hard to say because like I'm still so young in it, but like
Mhm.
I guess what I would say is just like the repetitions, you know what I mean? Keep hitting the open mics. Getting like in the beginning, I feel like it's more about just being on stage and saying words into a microphone. Because like for me, like I never had anything performance wise. Like I never did anything performance wise before comedy. Like I would even like at school and like when I had to give a presentation, I was nervous as fuck. You know what I mean? So for me in the beginning, it was just about like getting up and just talking in front of people. Like that for me, that first like was the first hurdle to overcome. So I would say just get up there, get some coherent sentences going. I study a lot of comedy, watch comedy, notice how people set up setups and punchlines, just the technique of it, setups and punchlines. Don't be afraid, like get used to silence, kind of like use pauses to your advantages, because pauses, that's what I'm learning now, is that there's like you need that negative space. Like it's you need that, you know, that helps.
Well, sometimes it's not all negative either.
Right.
I mean, the silence means they're listening to you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But you can use silence as like a tension builder, or you can use it like there's a weirdness to like the amount, the length of the silence or the type of silence that can really make the punch even funnier. So
Yeah.
it's like, but I'm starting to figure that out just because I've been doing it for a few years, you know. So yeah, just keep doing it and just study comedy and just try to like find the fun in it, because there's a lot of fucking doubt. Like there's a lot of doubt that goes into this. So like try to have fun when you can. Try to figure out a way to have fun with it, because like there's certain times where I'm just sitting and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? You know, like this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like do I really think this is, you know?
I've had an entire month like that.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes. No.
But then it takes that one show, you know, to bring you back. You know, you do a killer set for a killer crowd, and then you're like, oh yeah, this is why I do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, this is the medicine.
So when you got into comedy, then when you first tried it out and everything, you didn't have any performance background at all. Like you weren't in drama in high school, or like you didn't do, and really?
No, I didn't have anything. I would just fuck around with my friends, and then I was in school, and I studied film in school, and I kind of was like, I don't really feel like I'm just doing this because I'm like going through the motions. I'm like on the treadmill, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I like making people laugh. Like, why not try? And I've always watched stand up, you know, like, let's give it a shot.
Okay.
And then, like I said, that homeless guy, haha, like, even though I sucked, I felt really happy. So I was like, oh, well, this is a sign, you know? So,
okay. So just the mere fact that when you're up there and you felt something about it, like you're just like, you know what, this is something that I can see myself doing.
Right.
Much.
It felt right. Like, it just felt. Yeah, it felt like, yeah, there's something to this, you know?
Yeah,
that's how it felt
totally.
like for me. So, yeah, just fucking following a feeling in my gut is basically what I'm doing, that's why there's a lot of doubt, because you sit down and be like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, just following this feeling
and
in
then,
my gut.
well, and then, like you said, just try to get comfortable with it too, you know, coming from a background where you weren't in front of people already.
Right.
To make that transition to be where you're at now, that's pretty impressive. That really is.
I'm still performing at places like Jake's, but I mean, yeah, I'm getting.
So is Ryan too.
Yeah, but I'm getting definitely more comfortable. You know, I'm still working on it, but yeah, man, it takes time, and it's crazy. Like I was thinking about it because like people are so afraid of talking in front of others. Like that's the I don't know if this is real. Someone just said this, but like people are more afraid of talking in front of people than they are dying or whatever, public speaking. But,
well, they say that public speaking is like the number one fear in this entire country, I think, or world or something. Yeah, like people. Yeah, people are more afraid of that than dying.
Yeah. I totally can see that.
And it's crazy because like nothing bad is going to happen to you, like at all.
Well, there might be.
Maybe.
Did you hear about that guy in Seattle who got beat with a bat doing hosting an open mic?
I mean, it's possible, I guess, but 9 times out of 10 you're gonna be fine.
What's his name get shot too? Didn't a stand-up get shot? Oh wait, no, that was in his show. Jim Jeffries, right?
Oh no, he didn't really
get
get
punched.
Yeah,
he's been attacked on stage. Yeah.
Okay.
Punched
he got
on
fucked
stage.
up.
Pauly Shore's got punched in the face.
Well, that's probably sure. Everybody wants to punch him in the face.
I mean, it happens.
It happens, but I mean, it's rare.
But that's in this line of work. You know, you kind of I would expect it. I mean, really,
it's possible. Yeah, if you're up there talking mad shit, someone's gonna get mad. You know,
but it comes with the territory though, because sometimes you're up there feeling like you're invincible.
Right. But that's what's kind of I like that. Yeah. I like that there's an element of like some dude like might fucking get up here and hit you with the chair. You know what I mean? It's like that could happen. You know, it's just such a like a countercultural kind of thing. You know, it's like.
It's like the Wild West.
Yeah, it feels like it's still such an old school type of thing to just get up and just like talk in front of people.
I mean, really, that's probably the only thing in this entire world that really hasn't changed. You know, like music's changed. You know, you got all these things. Acting, you know, film has changed. You know, now you got green screens. And
Right.
Yeah.
all that. I feel like
Stand-up is such a pure art form.
yeah, I feel like stand-up really hasn't changed at all.
Right.
You know, since it started.
Yeah, it's just a dude.
Because it really is just a dude talking to a crowd, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, I got to keep these dudes' attentions and be funny. And
Yeah, and then if you're not funny and just
Or
an asshole.
a girl. Sorry.
Or
Don't
a
mean to be
girl.
fucking-
Yeah, 2016 can't be.
Or a trans.
dudes only, bro. It's a dudes only
It's not a boys
podcast.
club anymore.
All right,
Dudes.
it is the middle of the show. I usually like to play something for you, the audience. Originally, a band was supposed to be in here, and I was going to play their music. Unfortunately, they're not here, and I just got to settle for Pat. Sorry, Pat. No, I'm just kidding. No, honestly, it's really great to have you in, but I do want to take this time to give Fix Our Eyes a little shout-out. They were supposed to be my guests on today, but unfortunately, they could not make it because they live in buttfuck Egypt. But I'm going to play one of their songs. He didn't give me a track list, so I don't know what song this is or what it's called.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but
Well,
If you
It's,
like it,
if you like it, Facebook, Fix Our Eyes, Instagram, Fix Our Eyes. Check them out. Pretty good. Yeah.
Unmute.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I know, I
Yeah.
forgot to unmute him. But yeah, that was Fix Our Eyes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so the home brewer that we had on Humpcast yesterday left us a couple beers here that we just found. So
Oh, what? Is that
Yeah.
the same homebrewer that
Yeah.
came in last time?
it's Mario Artiga. He used to be a stand-up comic
Oh, okay.
and / home brewer, but he's since stopped.
He
doing
doesn't
stand-up.
do comedy anymore?
Why not? Because he brews beer better.
Yeah, he's a better
Brewer than
he is a
comic.
Sorry to say.
All right, so we're back.
We're back.
And yeah, we're back in black.
Suck my dick.
As Ryan is wearing his AC/DC shirt that I just noticed.
yeah.
right now.
Oh yeah, this is my favorite one.
That's dope.
Yeah, it is pretty dope.
Digging it.
So you guys obviously done a lot of shows in the time that you've started and the time and between now. What are some of your favorite moments doing shows?
I think the trip that like me and Pat had in Vegas, we went in Vegas and Boulder City, Colorado, fucking Nevada, and we just hit a bunch of open mics and we did a couple shit shows. Like none of them were good.
Yeah.
Nothing was good about that, except that we got paid a couple times.
Right.
But I feel like it was worth it. And I feel like it was just a lot of fun. It was an experience.
It was cool.
We spent an entire week in Vegas.
Yeah.
Just
So,
chilling. Yeah,
just
driving around.
and we were
drinking
both
beers.
broke too. So we lived off Chipotle and saved like halves of burritos every time.
Yeah, it was cool. And then that Boulder show was dope. The Boulder show, that was the kicker.
Do you know what the sad part
Boulder
about that
show.
is that it could have been a good show.
It could have.
Yeah, it like had all the elements for a good show.
Biker bar in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of butt fuck, and it was like, and I was so excited for it. You
Yeah.
know? Like
Yeah, there was a ton of people. That Jeff Foxworthy fucking lunatic.
yeah,
dude
let's
was
talk
there.
about that guy.
So we get there. We get to the bar, and we're kind of just we're just chilling. And this fucking dude, he looks like Jeff Foxworthy. He has like a stash, old white dude with a big ass cigar in his mouth. And he's like, "Hey, what's up?" Like he says he's a comic, and I don't know any of the comics there. So I'm like, "Oh, cool. Like, what's up, man? Like, you're on the show?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna perform." And then like 30 seconds into it, I realized like, oh, this is a crazy person who's not a comic. But Ryan had realized it much sooner than I did.
I abandoned ship. I just left him there, and I was like, "Yep, this guy's nuts."
Ryan made eye contact with him and then just walked
Just
away.
knew he
And
was like, yeah, this guy ain't all there.
I stayed in too long. And this dude like starts telling me he's just saying all kinds of crazy shit. And I'm kind of just like, okay, like what?
It's crazy shit like what? Like
Well-
there's aliens in this bar.
No, not like that.
Oh,
He didn't go there yet, but he was like just saying like he was just trying to crack a bunch of jokes, and I was like kind of like laughing to be polite because I was like, ha ha, yeah, dude, like all right. And
You're
then all of a sudden
funny.
he looked at me and he got really serious and he's like, the first time I killed a man, I was 17 years old, and I was like, and he's like making
Oh
intense
my
eye contact with
God.
me, and I was like, okay. And he was like, yeah, he had a knife. And I said, you might stab me. He was like, but I'm going to kill you. And I was like, oh, shit. And I'm like looking around for Ryan. Ryan's gone. Ryan knew this was coming.
I was there talking to the headliner for the show the next day that we were on, and he was there hanging out.
What was that dude's name?
I forgot.
The black dude, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so you guys went like with a team of comics?
No,
over
it was
there?
just
Or-
it's like there's only like 5 places you can go to while you're
Oh,
out there.
okay.
You know? So
Yeah.
and they're once every so there's only like one place you can go to every night.
Mhm.
So this one was just happened to be the Tuesday that we were at, you know?
Right, and everyone
And so
was
every
there.
comic was there, and
Right on.
and any of the LA comics that were on the show the next day that we were doing were there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just to check it out too, right?
They were
they were on the show.
We were all
Oh,
performing.
It was
okay.
like we all kind of knew, it's
Yeah.
it's everybody out
It's
there.
a small scene.
It's a very small scene. So
Yeah.
if you're running through, like, there's only a couple people you can hit up to get a spot at,
But yeah, dude, it was a bar full of people. No one gave a shit while everyone was doing comedy. Everyone just like, imagine like a bar, like
And
a
it was
packed bar.
crowded, dude. It was like really crowded, which was really upsetting. I was
Yeah.
like,
Like it was, like
usually it's hopeful when you see a crowd, a bar packed with people, and you're like, oh, like this is gonna be a great show.
Yeah. It was a bar full of people that were talking as if there was no show going on. So it was that like loud, like that ruckus.
But those were the people. Anyway, you should explain it, and because when we come to find out like who those people were, it was like even more pissed off.
Right,
like the people who were talking as the comics were going up.
They were friends of like the headliner dude who was this like fucking Fear and Loathing Johnny Depp looking motherfucker with this like he had like that fisherman hat on and shit. And those dudes get up and they like start playing a harmonica. Someone plays a cello, and someone did a cold read of a scene, and everyone was like dead silent. And
then they stopped. Remember, they stopped in the middle of the stand up to have like a chick
girlfriend?
Play guitar. Yeah, play guitar and like sing a song about like her dad dying or something, and then
Yeah, it was brutal.
And meanwhile, this place is like full on. Like it's so funny, dude. Because that's why if you check my Instagram, there's a picture of this chick playing like an acoustic guitar and like singing her heart out, and then in the background it says metal chick, and I posted. I was like, not quite,
right.
But it was just like, it
didn't
feel right.
And it was crazy, like how like loud the place was, and as soon as they started fucking reading a scene from like some shitty movie that their friend wrote, everyone was like, dude, completely silent. Like even a couple bikers that weren't with them for sure were like, they were like, oh yeah, like everyone started listening to these fuckers and like play the cello and act this scene out.
Play the cello, dude. The cello act. That's not even an exaggeration.
In Boulder, Nevada, dude.
Like, who knew these people would be so cultured?
Yeah, right. In Boulder, Nevada. I even saw the Jeff Foxworthy crazy guy, like even with a tear in his eye and a cigar in his eye. Like, oh, shit. They got that guy too.
Oh man!
That
I mean, it must have been
crazy.
magical, right?
We just couldn't. We just started laughing.
was
We just looked and we just started
Yeah.
cracking. We're like, dude, look at this shit. This is ridiculous.
Put it this way: the guy who put the show together was so embarrassed that he gave us $20 and just left.
He left.
Yeah.
He didn't even want to stick around.
Because it was supposed to be just a comedy show, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what happened was, and he was pissed off because what happened was he like hired this dude like claimed he was a comic and he was traveling through or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he hired him as like a headliner for the night. But turns out he was traveling with a band with like 2 other bands, and so he insisted that like all these musicians go up and do the show as well. So he took over the show.
Yeah, like he just suckered his way in there. And was like, oh, I'm traveling through. Oh, but I'm here with 2 other bands, so you got to put them on because we're traveling together.
Right.
And he probably told those other bands like, oh, we got another gig, like. We can,
he's like,
it's
guys.
a full-fledged tour.
Yeah, it was bullshit. But
at that point, I would have been like, "No, motherfucker! Like, and I ain't paying you. Get out of here. What's wrong with you?
right, what the fuck?
What the fuck is wrong with you?"
This Fear and Loathing ass dude. Fisherman's hat and
really?
shit. Yeah, he looked exactly like him.
He had like a Hawaiian shirt with no socks. No socks in his vans, and like a fisherman's hat. But he had like a good Johnny Depp goatee with like long. He looked like Secret Window Johnny Depp and Fear and Loathing Johnny Depp,
all put into one.
like attire.
Yeah, he had those thick ass glasses and shit.
Yeah, it was.
Fuck that dude.
It was fucking stupid.
Yeah, that shit was whack. And but that was a. I mean, like you said, it was a good experience though. Like kicking it out there and checking out what it was about and
yeah.
fucking. But it was. This town, like Boulder too, was only like it only had like 2 stoplights. It had like 2 or 3 red lights.
Nice.
Yeah.
Would you? I mean, you totally would go there though. You totally would go back again for another.
Yeah,
show.
I would.
Probably. I feel like just due to those circumstances, like, because it wasn't terrible. Like, it was bad. Don't get me wrong. Like, every time we went up, every time any comic went up, like, they did shit. It sucked. But but it's not like we were the only 2 that
suffered.
That
right.
suffered. There was a whole lineup of comics who did terrible.
Ryan has a show that he's done in Vegas where he doesn't remember how he did. Have you had one of those shows where you don't remember?
You drink too much?
Yeah,
That's
where
a
you
good
drink too
question.
much.
I've definitely been drunk on stage, but I've never been to the point where I don't remember shit. I've been pretty fucked up, but I still. But I had like. Those were like some of my best shows, though. Like I had like the most. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, that was gonna well. Have you been to the point where like your punchlines just weren't hitting because you were so drunk?
So drunk? No. You know what it's been is like I've been.
Have you ever Bruce Jingles it?
No, never done that. But I've been to the like I either like got just a little buzz, so like my nerves were still there, and then that fucked with me because I was slurring I was like jarble mouth.
Yeah.
But then when I crossed the line and I was like, yo, fuck this. I don't even know if the people were having a good time. Like I was having a good time. I didn't give a shit. I was like, I had a blast.
Yeah.
I don't know if they laughed.
That's why I like some of those bar shows sometimes. You know, you do cross that threshold where you're like, I don't give a fuck. You know,
Right.
you just go up there, you're like, fuck you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys. And you need to have an element of that in stand up
Mhm.
because like you can't be caring too much about what they think or else it's
Have you
fucked.
had one of those shows though where like someone who's being disrespectful or anything, you're just like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like get out of here.
Yeah, I've had hecklers. I've had people fuck with me.
I saw you dying to see a hecklers that one
That was
time.
that first time. That was the first.
Was that your first time
That
ever
was
being heckled?
the
Heckled?
first time, and it wasn't even that bad. She was just
It wasn't.
loud.
She was just, but
And
like
I was just
you
like,
got,
oh.
but you couldn't find anything to come up with.
I was so scared.
And I was like, I was watching you like make me proud, and you just
and
drowned.
I did it. I disappointed you so hard. No, I had a fucking this girl just started. It was the first time I encountered a heckler,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said before, like when I started doing stand up, for me it was like I just memorized everything I had to say because I
Yeah.
was so scared that I would forget what I had to say up there.
Yeah, you weren't comfortable.
I was
out
just
there.
so
Yeah,
scared, so I was just
know.
like, I gotta say this next. I was like
Yeah.
a robot, and then
So at that point, have you ever gone off book? Like,
at that point,
no.
No, so
and
she
then
just
you got
started.
this
She was just
fucker.
loud. She was just loud, and like she just was talking, but I just didn't know how to address it or like what to do. I was just scared, you know.
And she was
Yeah.
saying everything. I don't know if you could hear it up there, but she was because she had something to say on every setup that you had. So
yeah,
that
she was talking
she
the
was just
whole
being really
time.
disruptive.
And I just had to. I should have just shut her down real quick or just called her out. But
And it's not like the show was crowded or anything.
No,
Like,
but I
you
mean-
were- you were like the last comic up, and there was only like
It
four
was-
people. In the room.
it was a good experience though because it taught me how to like kind of fucking. I have to be ready for shit like that.
yeah.
Like recently, I had a heckler this last week. Well, it wasn't really a heckler, but he did heckle. He was cool about it, but I have a joke about coconut water and like tasting like semen or whatever, and these girls like ruined it for me. And I was telling the joke, and then these girls were laughing really hard, like it's true, blah blah, blah whatever. And I was like, I was making fun of them, like, damn, like, see, they know, like, see, like, I was just pointing them out, like, see, look, confirmation again, like, fuck, this is fucked
Yeah.
up. And then one of the dudes, I guess that was his daughter. That was his daughter, and he was like this big ass cholo looking motherfucker, like scary looking dude.
Don't me talk about
And
my
he was
daughter,
like,
dog.
"Hey, that's my daughter, dog!" Like pissed. And I kind of like at first I was like, because he wasn't sitting next to him, but I was like, "Oh shit!" And I kind of like paused, and I was like, "Well, dude, you fucking gotta keep an eye on her, dog. Like she knows what it's about, you know." Like I started just talking shit about like his daughter.
That's your
I was
daughter
like,
talking
well,
about
there's your
semen.
daughter. She fucking knows what's up, you know. And then it was cool, but like I mean that's not like even like a big, that's not even like a crazy diss, like that's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
but just like that, just saying that, people for
Yeah.
some reason think that because people reacted really hard to that, they're like aha, they like
Right.
loved
Yeah.
it. But it's just that sometimes it's not even about like having the wittiest. It's just like you just have to address the shit that's happening sometimes, you know.
Oh, okay.
And it
Yeah, I mean, you just have to show that you're still somehow in power,
In control,
or in
yeah.
control
Yeah.
of the situation.
like you're not
yeah.
phased by it. Like
Mhm.
yeah, like okay, well,
Hey,
fucking
well, I'm the one
keep
with
an
the
eye on your daughter.
microphone,
She's sucking
motherfucker.
dicks over there. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing over there? That's not witty, but it's just like, yo, fucking sucking dicks. Clearly, you know.
You just got to tell the truth.
Yeah,
Your daughter sucks dick. I'm sorry.
she fucking sucks dicks, dude. I'm sorry
Oh
to
man.
be the one to break the news to you.
She's
but-
drinking that, or she's just drinking glasses of jizz.
One or the other, dude.
I don't know. Where
Glasses of jizz is probably worse though. She's making dudes
I-
come in cups and just like, all right, let me try
Sorry, I don't suck dick. You
I
have
saw
to do it in here, and then I'll drink.
this. It's like a jizz. 'Cause she like swirls it around. She's
Yeah.
like, this is 18 years old.
I saw glasses of jizz at the Troubadour, by the way.
Glasses of what?
It sounds like a metal band name.
Yeah, what is that?
Glasses of jizz.
Glasses of jizz. That's our
Glasses
new
of
band
jizz.
band name, bro.
That's a good name. Glasses of jizz.
We are glasses of jizz.
This song's called Bukake. Bukake. Bukake.
Steven, all over me. That's it.
That's it.
It's our
So-
first single.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's
Crazy that somewhere around the world right now, someone's getting bukkake. Like for real.
Patrick always does this where he's like, can you think about like somewhere in this world at this very moment, someone's getting a blowjob.
He's standing on top of the moon tower going, imagine how many people are out there fucking right now, man. Just going at it.
It's just like I like to like think about it because that's a real thing that people just are just doing, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
And it's like that's happening.
Dude,
right
there's
now.
someone out there sucking up some farts too.
Sucking
In Brazil.
farts and
Just sucking up farts.
like right now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Or like
Like-
eating poo.
eating poo, shit on chest,
Yeah.
bukkakis. It's like someone's just totally getting disrespected.
But they're getting paid for it though. That's
Paid. Some people are getting paid. Some people aren't.
I don't
Some
think people.
are just
I don't
doing
think
it.
everybody gets paid for that.
Not everybody.
Dude, I had
If you're in prison, no.
I had a buddy of mine that would go to like swinger events and with his roommate, this guy and girl, and in downtown LA, and they were like, yeah, it's like in downtown. It looks like an office building, and they would go into like this little weird parking lot, like, and it would be like an entire club of like swinger people and like eyes wide shut, like sex parties.
Nice.
And I was like, what? Like, but that's like that happens amongst.
Yeah.
Like while you're at the coffee shop drinking an espresso, you know, there's people getting fucked in two parking lots
In the
levels
basement.
down. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, holy, like that's crazy.
Oh my God! Lawyers are fighting for your freedom while while their assistants are downstairs getting
Getting
butt
railed.
plugged.
Yeah, getting butt plugged.
Just getting fucking.
Yeah.
Get smothered with
getting-
cock.
It's getting derailed.
Oh my
Railed
God!
downstairs.
That
Turning
is
into
so
turning into Chinese
terrible.
finger cuffs.
Yeah,
Stuffed,
Oh,
sealed
man.
shut.
So,
man.
would you say that was your most embarrassing moment? Though, is when you first got heckled and kind of got
no,
destroyed?
man. The most embarrassing moment I think was at the J spot had to be one of the most
Oh,
embarrassing.
yeah, that's a new
moments.
one. We went through that together too.
It was just like it's in Inglewood. The show was in Inglewood,
Ooh,
and
nice.
I wasn't like our buddy Jose put the show on,
Mhm.
and but he was out of town for another show. He like last minute canceled and had to do something else, so I had to run the show. But I didn't know who I was. I was just fucked from the beginning. And it's like an all
the person that put it together wasn't there.
Wasn't
they
there.
got this white guy to
Well,
fill in.
it was
Right.
it was him, me, and Mike were on the show, and we're the only 3 white people on the show.
right,
And it's
only
a
through white dudes in the room,
And it's a black club. Yeah.
Inglewood
Yes.
Black Club, black everything. And
Did
we're
you
like,
do your racist?
Oh, of
no,
course I
your-
did.
Yeah.
It's not racist.
not your
It's
racial,
ra-
but
it's racial.
Your racial.
Which
your,
one?
Your racial. Him being half white, half Mexican,
Oh,
has
yeah,
its
yeah,
perks
yeah.
and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. I think that one went over well actually.
That one went over better than most of the shit that I talked
Yeah.
about.
Well, we all fucking bombed like hard. I was the
Really?
host. I bombed hard, and it was the
As
worst.
a host, oh,
Yeah,
man,
that's
Oh
why-
yeah,
worse.
oh yeah, man.
That
they,
was the
they,
shit.
they hated him from the get go. Like the minute his foot touched the fucking stair to get onto the stage, they were like, "Nope, fuck this white boy."
They hated me, dude, and I was like, I wasn't funny, and I was nervous, like I wasn't comfortable. And I even had one of those like weird, like because you get hot sometimes, like you feel
Sweaty.
super
Yeah.
hot, and you're like fuck, and this inner voices in your head as you're talking, you hear this voice in your head like you fucking suck, you suck, you suck, and
Well,
and at this
you
point, it was shouting at you like,
Oh,
"You
yeah.
suck."
you suck. And it was in the voice of an angry black man. Hey yo, you suck. Hey yo, you suck, dog. Shit, fool. You fucking suck.
Oh my god!
Well, we didn't even talk about the headliner from the show before ours when we walked in. Because we all rolled together. Remember, we all met at El Segundo.
oh yeah.
So
yeah,
when
yeah.
we walked in, but there's a guy like goes up, he's like, "Hey, how come all these big ass titties? How come always one of them sagging to the side and shit?" And like that's
and people were like,
and everybody's dying, dude. And,
yes.
and we're like, "Oh fuck! Oh fuck! Like this isn't what we do."
Hey, what's up with the big old titties?
How come they got 1 second to the side? Like, what the fuck is happening? And it was like that's what
If she ain't got no booty dimples, she ain't no good for me.
and that was the kind of shit that he was doing. He was
Oh,
like,
man.
you know, how come every big girl got a fucking smelly fat pussy?
I like how you sound like an extra black Bill Cosby when you do that.
Yeah. That's the Bill Cosby impersonation. This is a little more black.
Why do the girl with the big booties and the shaking and the twerking?
Like if Bill Cosby did like blue comedy.
Yeah.
Would you smell a pussy? How come it don't smell good?
Okay, so you walk into this club. That's what's going on, pretty much.
Pretty much, dude. And he's just going crazy. It was like a very unfunny Chris Rock.
It was bad. And then, I had to host it. So as a host,
The show after. This was the guy closing out the show before. So
right, and then
show
I
after
and
is
then
you
I go
guys,
up.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I try to do my thing, and I bomb hard, like very hard, and I'm like uncomfortable. It sucks. And then I'm like, all right, guys. I think who was the first guy? You? Or?
I thought you brought up the guy who was the guest spot.
Oh.
And he was an actual black guy, and he sucked too.
Yeah, he was an actual black guy, and he was a guest spot, and it was terrible.
He was an actual black.
Well, I mean, that
Yeah,
you would
what
think
kind
he
of other black people?
you would
you
think
sure
he would
wasn't
do
it-
well.
But are you sure it wasn't a white guy with like black paint on? him or
Yeah, he was
something?
in blackface.
That
and
was
shit.
Mike.
That was Mike. Yeah, that was Mike. Wait, so that dude bombs, and then I have to go back up like an asshole and like just fucking try to like I'm the guy that's gonna bring it back, but you already fucking hate me. You saw what I did. So I have to keep going up, and then we bring Mike Mike's like
Mike
kinda
got pretty
drunk.
buzzed. Look, this is what I was saying about this. Like, I was like, Mike can't handle the Ryan D treatment. Like, we went to a brewery before this.
Yeah.
And I'm fine. I'm in a good mood. I'm like, I'm like, this isn't gonna go well, but I don't give a fuck. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a
I'm
good
like,
time.
I had a
but,
couple. I had a couple good beers. I'm buzzed. Like, I'm here just hanging. Whatever.
Just having a
Fuck,
good time, yeah,
Whatever.
fuck
It
it,
doesn't
whatever.
matter. You know. And we're on the show together, so we're all dying together. you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
So I'm like, whatever. I don't give a shit.
One of us go down. We all.
Oh,
We're all
wow.
going down. We're all going through it, dude.
You know, and of course I'm going to do my best to try and make this. But I was like, but it's not going to go well.
Right, you just know.
So- but Mike is there. He's like, this is, he's like, I'm nervous because like everybody's bombing and I'm drunk and blah blah blah. And
Mike was tripping really hard, and
then-
he had his girlfriend with him. And his okay, so Mike is like what 6'1", 6'2", something like that. His girlfriend's like 5'2". She's tiny.
Oh, okay.
And he's like tripping in the chair. He's like keeps telling
Is
her
she white too?
she's Asian.
now she's
Oh,
Asian.
oh,
Like Filipino or something.
Yeah,
Every black guy's dream, right there.
What? Mike's white.
Mike's white.
No, I said every black guy.
Oh.
So you're in a black. I mean,
Oh right,
So
right,
everybody's gonna nail his little
His
girlfriend.
little fucking girlfriend.
Their
So-
big old black dicks.
Mike is like visibly tripping,
yeah.
and he's about to go on next, and he's like fuck, like I'm gonna go on next, like fuck, and he screams fuck, he goes fuck, and punches the chair like hard, like boom, and puts his head in his hands, and he's just like tripping. And like people turn around, like a bunch of people are like, "What the fuck is going on?" He goes up there and he bombs, but he does okay. Like towards the end, like he had a couple laughs, and he could have ended like decent if he just stopped talking.
Yeah, he kept talking. He was
But-
he was rambling a bit, but that's I think because of the booze.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he afterwards was like really upset.
He cried. He like legitimately cried.
What?
He went and cried to his girlfriend like, I'm a failure.
Oh
And
my
the
god.
funniest was we didn't know until we got back in the car and we're driving.
Yeah.
And
And
then
he's all wiping away the tears. And
no,
everything.
Mike said I think he said he cried, or I think he was like, dude, I cried.
I went outside and had a cigarette, and after my set, because I went up right after him,
yeah.
and I did probably just as well as Mike did, you know,
Yeah.
which isn't good,
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit, you know. And so I went
Yeah,
outside and
whatever.
had a cigarette. What pissed me off was that there was a couple other comics that went up after us, black comics that went up and started talking shit about us, you know, like saying, oh. One guy wasn't even on the fucking lineup and he just got a spot. Somebody
Yeah.
came up to you and asked him for a
Yeah,
spot,
the
and,
guest
and
spot.
he went up. He's like, oh, you're lighting me already. He's like, you let all these dumb white boys talk about a bunch of shit and not even tell any jokes. He's like, but you light me right away.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa, what the fuck is your problem, dude? Nobody's
Right.
coming up here and talking a bunch of shit about you.
Right.
And so that started pissing me off because a bunch of them did that.
Yeah.
Like a handful of them went
Yeah,
up
all
and
of them did,
started
yeah.
saying shit about all the white boys, like not telling jokes and complaining about how this crowd. They're like, no, you're just not funny, motherfucker. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, right.
And so I got mad, and so I went outside. I'm like, this isn't my fight. Plus, I'll die. So,
Right.
so I went outside. And then Mike comes after me, busts the fucking door open, and then comes out. He's like, fuck. All worked up, like I'm like, what's wrong with you? He's like, dude, I fucking bombed so hard. I was like, what? Have you never bombed before? He's like, not like that. Like it's just the end of the world. And I'm like, yo, calm down. It's fine. You know, like it's
Yeah.
okay. He's like, what? You're not bothered by it. You're not bothered. He's like, you bombed too. And I was like, yeah, I bombed too. So what?
Yeah.
He's
fuck
like,
it.
no. He's like, no. I don't. That's our job, Ryan. We're supposed to make everybody laugh. That's our job. We're comedians. I was like, and I go, not really. You know, not fucking really.
Not everybody's gonna laugh at us.
And
dude.
and that was the thing. He's like, oh, well, you don't think that's your job to go? I was like, no, if they don't fucking like me, they don't fucking like me, dude. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
My job is to have a good time up there.
No, my job is to make the people who find me funny laugh. That's what I
Yeah.
think, you know.
Oh, okay.
And that's where we got in an argument. He's like, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna kill it, blah blah blah. And I was like, that's good. Well, I won't be back here. And he's like, what? You never want to come back? I was like, no, never. I'm good. I found out that this isn't my fucking crowd. I don't think I'll come back here, dude. It was just like,
And then he started crying. Did he start
no,
crying?
he was just super upset, and he was like, "That's fine. Well, you're a niche comic. I want to be a well-grounded comedian, and I want to make everybody laugh." He's like, just like Bernie Mac said, he's like, "I don't want to be a black comic. I want to be just funny."
I don't want to be a white comic.
Yeah, he quoted Bernie Mac.
He
like,
quoted Bernie
man.
Mac.
like fucking whipped out a Bernie Mac
Because he
quote.
was in Inglewood. That's why he
Yeah.
quoted
Yeah.
Bernie Mac.
Well, then, it was just like
yeah.
it was a bunch of bullshit. Anyway, yeah, we didn't find out until we got.
We were in the car, and we're in the car, and I think someone mentioned that he cried, and then I was driving, and I fucking completely turned my head, looked back into the back seat, like, what? And I looked at his girl, and I was like, did he cry? And she just, like, looked at me, and she had his arm around him like this, and she was like,
Just nod her head lightly.
nod her head
yeah.
lightly, like, yeah.
Yeah.
He did. He cried. That shit
He
was,
gonna cry in the car.
Yeah,
that shit was funny as
that
fuck.
shit was hilarious.
Was that where you came up with your line after you say your Mexican half keeps me?
Oh no! This was more
Okay.
recently. That I came up with that one when somebody yelled at me when I did that bit at Flappers in Burbank. When I say that I have like the Mexican half keeps me from getting shot by cholos, the white half keeps me from getting shot by LAPD.
Yeah.
There was a black dude that went, "Yeah, good luck with that," from the back of the fucking room. And then that was when I came up with that tag. I was like, well, I realized it doesn't keep me from getting shot by that dude. So now I say that every time, just to save me, just in case.
Right, just in case.
Did you say it that night?
Oh yeah, of course I did. I mean, they like that joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black
they
people,
did.
dude. The thing is, like, I usually crush in black rooms. Like, I did this spot in Inglewood one time, and they fucking loved me. They loved everything about about my set.
We had an off night. I don't know what the fuck happened.
You know,
but
you
it
need
was
to
just
tell
bad.
Mike next time he goes to that place, he needs to have more big booty jokes.
Big booty and
booty,
saggy
big
titty
titties.
jokes.
Yeah,
The thing was,
saggy titty
we
jokes.
just weren't. I think they expected a sort of Martin Lawrence type thing, and that's just what we weren't doing.
It just wasn't good.
It wasn't
man.
high energy, like look at big old sagging titties. And
I remember I went up there like in between comics, and like I heard somebody in the front go, "Damn, what's going on? What's going on?" And I was like, "I don't know, man, but fucking here's your next comic." Boom. Let me get the fuck off the stage. That was brutal.
What was your best show then, Pat?
Probably, I mean, the shows I've done, like with Ryan Thursday Night Riot, that one show you came to,
Mm-hmm.
the show I did with Jose. I mean, the one where like it's just our buddies, like, and we're just all in the same lineup.
yeah.
We've done a few of them like that, and those are always the dopest because it's just literally like you while you're waiting to go on stage, you're just shooting the shit with your buddies. Everyone's drinking. It's like a hangout, and then you get to go on stage and then do good. And then fucking come back off stage. So we've done like a handful of those, like 10 of
it's
those.
usually at
something
the
like
Ice House when somebody's producing a show and we just all. It's always like a buddy gets a night, like
that. Yeah,
and then we all get thrown on the lineup, and it's just always
Yeah.
it's the fucking best, man.
it's
it really is.
it's just like and there's been a few of those where like everyone did good, like everyone smashed, and everyone had a good time, and I mean that shit is like I feel like what it's all about, and like I said, we're still starting off, so like. You hear dudes that like on Joe Rogan's podcast or talk about nights like that all the time because they're all so fucking good that like that happens all the time for them, But for us, like to get a taste of it now, like it's just like it's the dopest shit ever. Just to be super, hang out with your buddies and smash and do comedy and then have that because you get a buzz from it. You get like really amped afterwards.
And it's also it's I feel like we got lucky in finding each other and finding our own little kind of clique because. In this business and like industry or whatever, this whole fucking circuit is real cliquey.
Yeah,
And a lot of people are in it for the wrong reasons. I feel.
Yeah.
And so like when we have those shows together, it really is the best feeling. It's like we could probably like I'll have a show with somebody I won't mention in Washington, and I won't have a fucking good time, but I'll get paid $200 for it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then I'll
Yeah.
come back and do a shit show or a good show, you know, but the fact that I put it together and all my friends are on it, like it's so much more gratifying.
Yeah.
Right. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
great time. And no, man, it's those shows are the best. I mean, I feel like that's what it's all about. Like hang out with your homies and be funny on stage and fucking yeah, like you said, that Thursday Night Riot and a couple
Yeah.
of Jose's shows have been like some of the best ones at the Ice House too. Like it's fucking it's cool, man. It's I feel like what it's about, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, we do have that Thursday Night Riot show. I will play that for you, the audience, right now. Thanks, Pat, for coming on.
Yeah, man, thanks for
It
having
was
me,
a great
dude.
pleasure having you. It was another fucking great episode. I love having comics on. Thanks again, Ryan, for coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pat, if you want to give out your information where people can follow you, find you, and all that good shit.
Okay, I basically just fuck with Instagram. I mean, that's my main thing. So it's just my name, patrick.t.riley.
Patrick's always posting funny shit too.
So
Yeah.
trying to. And then Snapchat. I have a Snapchat. It's El Borracho, like the Loteria card. That's my thing.
Oh, so that's your Snapchat.
That's my Snapchat. And I tried to change it. I didn't know you can't change your fucking Snapchat name. Like
Oh yeah.
once you stick to
Yeah.
it's like one and done. And I wanted to switch it, but like now it's El Borracho. So
It's a big dick monster.
it's a big dick monster 303. It's fucking glass full of jizz, whatever.
Nice.
Glasses full of
Like,
jizz.
that's Belgium.
It has an Ethiopian. There's a region of Ethiopia in here. Walnut. Walnuts. A little bit of
No,
cedar.
it's just a dude from Walnut.
Ryan, go ahead and throw your shit out there real quick, too.
At Ryan P. Demarest. My website's down right now, but it is at it's teamryand.com.
Cow.
And tune into Hubcast on Wednesday nights or Wednesdays. It's on SoundCloud as well, and on iTunes and Ripped Radio.
Yeah.
Comes out on Wednesdays.
Yeah, so totally tune into Humcast. In Too Deep, they're also my friend's podcast. You can catch them on Monday nights, Wednesday nights. They post right after they record. Thank you guys for coming in. This is another fucking awesome episode. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
Bro.
yeah. Thank
You're welcome.
you guys.
Let's get drunk.
Yeah.